Excellent. Welcome, everybody. Right, Mark?
Woo! Yes, we're live. We've been working towards this, and it's great to be here and great to see you, Vesa.
As well, great to see you, Mark, as well. So let's do a quick intro between us before we go to the actual stars of today. So, and then we bit about background as well. So what is our background on history? First of all, welcome everybody on SharePoint Hackathon. We're super excited on this one. We started actually building this setup already many months ago. And there has been a lot of great features actually rolling out in 2025 as well, so which are now available to get started. But before we go all of the details, my name is Esa Juvonen. I'm a principal product manager in Microsoft 365 platform areas and especially focused on community and open source and extensibility, and of course, working together with all of our partners and Power Platform and N365 and so on. Bit about history, because I think we should be covering that on SharePoint. I started in SharePoint 2008, so it's been a while. It's actually pretty horrifying when you start calculating the days and numbers on behind of that. But we've seen a lot of evolution within a SharePoint, and the current SharePoint looks absolutely awesome. Right, Mark?
It does look awesome. I mean, the team has been working on the user interface for a ton of years. And the last 2 years, I would say, would be the turn of the crank that's hits the hockey stick in terms of the usability, the simplicity. My start with SharePoint was building a solution on top of SharePoint for the media and entertainment industry, and really crafting around the user interface, not necessarily with it. And moving into this era of moving, where you are actually creating and loving the SharePoint interface and all the things that you can do with it. So my name is Mark Cashman. I'm on the SharePoint team. I'm a senior product manager, and I'm very excited to be here in the hackathon. And the most clarifying thing I think that as what it is my skill set is, which is pretty low in terms of a coding perspective, is this hackathon is for everyone. We're going to get into a lot of the details, but if you can click and point and make things look the way that you want them to, then this hackathon is for you. And if you're a pro dev, this hackathon is for you too.
Everybody is welcome, absolutely, like Mark said, and that's really the beautiful thing in here, and that's actually really the beautiful thing about SharePoint as well, isn't it? So we need designers, we need end users, we need administrators, IT pros, developers. There's a lot of opportunities, partners, and so on. So there's so much to offer within that product.
Yeah, and we can see some of the people that are logging in and saying hi from all the different places in the world, some familiar faces, some new. It is truly for everyone, and we love to see that you're joining the webinar, and hopefully share the hackathon with your peers, with your partners, with your friends, with anybody that will listen. Anybody that has access to SharePoint can dive in and play along with the hackathon.
Absolutely. Now, let's jump on the hackathon details. So I'm a Finn, so I'm super technical. Let's focus on tactical stuff, not just chit-chatting. Sip of a coffee. Now, what does the hackathon actually mean? So hackathon actually means that we're hopefully getting a lot of ideas and innovation and inspiration from the community. So basically, we do have a competition, but competition in a good sense that we're trying to everybody will benefit out of it. But there has to be a bit of a competition where we will book actually or select the winners as well, because otherwise it wouldn't be a competition. So, and there is a kind of an incentivized operation, incentivized actions here. I guess that's the right way of saying that. English, pretty hard every night. Now, let's go actually on the categories which we have. Before we go there, actually, quick kind of a reminder. So the hackathon this time is not about you providing us a solution. It's about providing a video. So what we're really looking into is storytelling videos on how are you using SharePoint in a multiple different category perspective. We're going to go to categories together. So what we're looking into having is a 1 minute to 8 minute video, which will basically show your solution or the process or how you are using SharePoint. And it can be then among these following categories. So let's actually go through the individual categories which we have available for the entries. If we can get the categories, excellent. Thank you, Aaron, on helping on that one. Now, we do have 4 different categories, and this is highly intentional. Like coming back on what Mark was saying, everybody can actually submit what they built and how they're using SharePoint. So first of all, the first category, SharePoint agents. Mark, have you used SharePoint agents?
I have used SharePoint agents. I've talked about them a couple of times. I use it for the Interzone podcast internally, and it's a kind of agent that I can put out there and let people ask questions about the show, who we've had on, what subjects we've covered, and it's grounded down to not the whole site, but down to a specific document library with all the blogs that I've published across the last 5 years. So my LLM or my SLM is actually all of the blogs that I've published, so the agent can answer any questions about anything that we've done publicly.
Absolutely. Great example how SharePoint agents can be used. And that's exactly what we're looking into this category. So basically, SharePoint agents is something what is available now in Microsoft 365. Went to GA in Ignite 2024. There's a lot of options to actually use them. And what we are looking into this category is really the storytelling. How are you using SharePoint agent within your day-to-day work, or how are you planning to use them? So even though you wouldn't be yet rolling out to everybody within your organization, you might already have few people piloting that. And how are they piloting that? Is it law material? Is it ISO material documents? We use it already internally a lot.
Yeah, and I think we also want to hear, where did you put the agent and the output of it? You might only have just a week or two of experience, but just
Yes.
infer some of the things that it's doing to help save you time, things that you didn't have to do once you published your agent.
Yep, absolutely. Now, the second category, which we have available for submitting a video, again, these are videos on how you're doing these things, is the out-of-the-box designs for SharePoint portals. And this is really, really cool as well. So one of the most, let's say, awesome features which is rolling out recently is the flexible layouts. And now you can actually make SharePoint look really, really awesome. Of course, it was already looking awesome before, but now it's even more awesome, right? So now this category is really about what kind of a design have you created on SharePoint, SharePoint portals. It could be a landing page, it could be a team, let's say a division page, but what are the elements which are in that landing page, and how have you created that? And we award obviously the best design within this category as well.
I think with portals, one of the biggest thing is if you can think of your design, not only what presents your material, but what gets people to be aware that they come back to the portal to get up-to-date information, to engage with the news, and of
Yes.
course, from a design perspective, really have fun with all of the bells and whistles that you can plug around at a portal level.
And does it have to be a new portal, or is it something which is being used by company? Not necessarily. Again, it can be a new thing what you created right now for the hackathon, and you create a storytelling on this is how it looks like, you render design for it. Or it could be something what you have already been used, and then you're modifying that. And obviously using the modern SharePoint experiences for sure. But you can modify that, for example, to have a flexible layout included there, maybe to make it even more beautiful.
Yeah,
so
and I was just going to say,
out-of-the-box features. Yes,
out of the box features, but also don't forget your own branding. You know, it
yes.
used to be you maybe just put a logo on the top and chose a theme. Now you can really lay out exactly how you want your intranet to look. So we want to see what it is that you choose from your brand perspective that then shines through in how SharePoint can help you showcase that.
Absolutely. Custom fonts, custom themes, flexible layouts, hero web part designs, the editor card web parts. There's so much new stuff available within SharePoint, which is pretty, really cool. Now, the third category is Viva Connection. And Viva Connection is really the employee experiences, company employee experiences. We're going to talk a bit about that positioning today. Ed Everett is going to explain what's the role of SharePoint portals, what's the role of Viva Connection. And in here, we really want to focus also on the beautiful designs of the dashboard. So what kind of dashboard have people created? What kind of capabilities it could be there? That's small picture as an example. It's a really good looking example for retail, where we're surfacing, for example, sales information for individual retail employee on their quotas and objectives for the week. So really kind of thinking through what kind of dashboard it could be, whatever the industry is in case, where you're starting to use the Viva Connection.
Yeah, I was just going to add one element about the dashboard that I think is evolving, but it really is, how do you design the dashboard for the intent of how the interface is for the end user? You, of course, will design it beautifully, you'll put in the cards, but then what's the intent? You want the person to be able to do X and accomplish Y, and maybe in the context of Microsoft Teams without having to jump out to SharePoint and come back. The cards really give you that window and make it personable for your employees from the concept of what you can do with dashboards.
Absolutely. And especially in Viva Connection case, please to take in the video, hopefully you consider to taking the mobile and a tablet experiences into account as well, because Viva Connection does adapt to across all of the devices for frontline workers as well. So it's not just the desktop experience like in this picture, it's also the mobile experience, because that's how Viva Connection really shines. And then we have the last one, which is SharePoint Framework, which is really, really cool. It actually celebrated 8th anniversary for general availability. availability 2 weeks ago on Sunday, so it wasn't yesterday, the week before, so not 2 weeks, week before Sunday. Calculations is hard, math. But SharePoint Framework, there's a latest version of SharePoint Framework was actually released today, SharePoint Framework 1.21 preview, and you can actually use it to extend SharePoint, Viva Connection, Microsoft Teams, Outlook, and so on. So there's a lot of opportunities in here. But in this hackathon, we're really focused on using the SharePoint framework in the context of SharePoint. And then you will get actually special points on this category if you're using some sort of an AI integration over there as well. So for example, integrating to a custom engine agent or a agent in general directly within the SharePoint portal. Those kind of scenarios are super interesting. We're looking into those obviously out of the box as well, but we're also we know that our partners and customers are building super cool portals with SPFX, which gives you the flexibility on extending SharePoint portals.
Yeah, this is where I'm not a developer, but I know there are a ton of samples out there, so that if you want to accelerate some of what you do in the hackathon, learn from others, make it your own, incorporate it into your scenario, and maybe we can do a belated happy birthday to the SharePoint framework. But mostly, I just wanted to say congratulations to everybody that's pushed into making the SPFX what it is today. It's amazing how it's grown up, especially when you think about the Wayback Zone where there really was a black box nature to SharePoint. You really couldn't do the farm level stuff and you couldn't control it. But now with the SharePoint framework, especially through the hackathon, learn what you can do and make it even more personal and more customizable.
Yep, absolutely. And then maybe one final question on that one, which comes up already, is that, hey, wait a minute, I'm a ISV, or we are a partner, or we are a customer, which we built already something which is using SPFX. Can I actually do a video which shows that? And the answer is actually yes. We're looking into everybody can participate. We're really looking into seeing what people have built with SharePoint, and then hopefully make, for example, showcase videos in the future further on within the spring. And of course, there's an M365 conference coming up as well to showcase some of these videos potentially in that session or in that conference. But now, okay, so these are the categories where people can basically submit. What are the awards? What can people actually get on the awards section? And let's actually go this through one by one as we walk them through in the same way as we did with categories. So first of all, every single submission will get a badge. It's beautiful designed SharePoint unique badge in Credly. It's the same Credly which you get, which Microsoft uses for all of the certification. And that's something which follows you within your career. So you can actually justify or show that to your manager and your friends and colleagues that, hey, I was part of SharePoint Hackathon 2025, hopefully also in 2026. Now, that's for everybody. But then the winners can choose for every single category. First of all, we're selecting a winner in every single category. But for every single winner, they can choose to get 4 hours of coaching and mentoring, either from the absolutely brilliant Heather Cook, or then by myself to give some insight on the career and mentoring, potentially even technical discussions, because I do have a technical background. So we're kind of giving away mentoring one-to-one time between either Heather or me as one of the options. If it's, by the way, a team which is submitting, you can have 4 people in a team, then that 4 hours is divided between the team members, and we can choose how they actually want to do that. The second winner thing is the Microsoft Community Conference tickets and hotel vouchers. And this is really, really cool. So we're looking into giving people a free ticket to the Microsoft 365 conference, and then an opportunity potentially to come on stage with some of our presenters to showcase what you actually built as a winning category, which is awesome as well. And then the final thing is we're always looking into community call presenters in the Microsoft hosted community calls. So basically, we're giving an opportunity for all of the people who are submitting and showcasing what they built, and also an opportunity to get scheduled within our community calls, and even more on doing potential blog posts and showcase storytelling together with us. So we really want to kind of embrace and make sure that everybody who's submitting, who are willing, their storytelling gets available externally as well. That's pretty cool, isn't it?
It's really cool. I mean, all of these things are super valuable. A lot of work went into making sure that we could get people to the show and highlight what they do. But even if you don't come to the conference, there's so many things that we want to make sure that we do to showcase what you're doing. The hackathon is all about what you create, you being able to tell how you did it, for others to learn from you and vice versa. There are things that you're going to see in these webinars. We've got a whole series lined up where we want to showcase the art of the possible so that you can see it. But then the role is within your purview to be able to then say back to Microsoft and the world, here's what I did, here's why I did it, here's what you can do if you have some similar scenario. We want to highlight those big and small. We want to put out a lot of images and videos that just really showcase not only what SharePoint can do for you, but what you can do with SharePoint. So the prizes, we hope, are just a tickler that get you interested and get you submitting. But to know the real value is for you to be able to showcase what you're learning and for other people to then learn from you. And Vesa, before I stop talking, I just wanted to see if you could answer one of the first questions that I saw come through, which was,
Absolutely.
4 hours on a one-on-one with Vesa, who's going to do most of the talking? Adam wants to know. Vesa.
That's a good question.
We'll let that one determine itself out.
Yeah, I can say openly that I can be actually, I'm a silent Finn. So this is more an act. Microsoft broke me, 18 years in Microsoft. So you have to learn to speak a lot. But I can certainly turn down as well. Good question.
Great question. So what are some of the things that you're excited to see? I know there's a lot of categories, a lot of skill sets that then can lean in and submit at all different levels. But Vesa, you've certainly been working at crafting this. Everybody should know this is really a team effort, but one of the main drivers is Vesa to get this out to you all to participate in. But Vesa, what are you most excited about with the hackathon?
So I have we shouldn't go to the dinosaur discussion, but I've been around for a long time, and I've seen even .com sites and massive enterprise .com sites built with SharePoint with beautiful designs and all of that. And I've created quite a few of them by myself within my career. So having that kind of a graphical UI experience is shown is the one thing, which is where SharePoint is known. But then also the AI side of the story, I'm super excited that we have the SharePoint agents available, and we're super excited to see what kind of use cases people are using them, because that also gives us then the innovation on how to improve these things in the future. And there's a lot of obvious ideas how what we're going to do in the future, but it's a combination of both. And can we somehow even combine them in some of the UX experiences? Maybe, we'll see. So.
I think so. I think before we move into pulling all of our experts in so that people can not only just hear from you and I, but they can hear from the people that work on the product that are hoping to encourage people to use their features and showcase what's possible. But I want to answer, I think, one of the biggest questions that I've seen coming through the chat, which is, when does this kick off? This is SJ Etsy Queen on YouTube. And the answer is today.
No.
Today. Now. It starts. And actually, I'll ask Aaron if you could put up the main link again that will take people to learn a lot more about everything that Vesa has been sharing and more, where to go, what to do. We're going to be talking about it this whole webinar, but this is one of the biggest, easiest links to remember. If you go to aka.ms/SharePoint/hackathon, you'll see a beautiful microsite that our producer today, Aaron, has put together with the mind share of everybody pouring in of what we want to highlight and showcase, including these webinars, including the rules, the FAQs, the art of the possible. There's links to a lot of great stuff. So definitely check that out. But to know the answer of the question is today, March 3rd through the 17th, activity, activity, activity. We want you to go, go, go.
Yes, and you can start preparing the videos, you can do all of that stuff. And again, we have multiple live streams available. If you have questions, go to the follow up on the links. You can actually ask those questions. We have PMs and feature PMs. I, Mark, many others helping on the questions as well. So we are all here to help you get unblocked if you have any questions related on any of the technology. But now, related on technology, that's a good segue on the actual stars of today. So the creators of this awesome technology. Of course, there's hundreds and hundreds of people who are actually writing the code and designing things. But then there's this role as a PM, product manager, who's coordinating all of those things and kind of rolling out the features. Today, we have 3 of those product manager leaders in the house, and let's invite them actually here to talk about their individual categories as well.
Hi, guys.
Hello, Ed. Hello, CJ. Hello, Kripal.
Yep. Morning.
Hi, Rita. Hey, Mark.
Great to see
Morning,
your faces.
afternoon, evening, I guess, depending on where you are.
Yeah, I think we got a worldwide audience this morning, so you are absolutely correct. So whether you're waking up or just about ready to go to bed, you now get to meet some of the folks that are behind what it is that are going to be powering all of the things that you're going to design. Ed, can we start with you? We'll go left to right. Who are you? What do you do?
Thanks, Mark. Hi, my name is Ed Averitt. I lead the Viva Connections and developer platform product teams. And I've been working in the SharePoint space for about 7 years, really like working for all of you that have been watching this for the last 7 years. And I kind of look at my role as my role is to help make sure SharePoint is for everyone. And that is whether you are building something low code, you're building something no code business automation, or you're going full on pro dev and you're a system integrator or a consultant or even an IT lead. And then the other side of that is how does that come through this thing we call the company app, which is Viva Connections, and how it integrates in with SharePoint. But that's a little about me. Super excited to see what you all come up with. I've seen a lot of what the SharePoint community and everyone can do over the years. This is going to be a great contest.
Hi, everyone.
Excellent.
I'm CJ.
Yes, thank you, CJ. Sorry.
No problem. I'm CJ Tan. I'm a group product manager, and I get the honor to lead the team that brings you SharePoint agents. I've been on the OneDrive and SharePoint team for a few years as well, and have always been in the space of seeing how we can take AI and apply it in a way that helps people use their content better, share their content better, create and generate new content. And so I'm really excited to see what people are going to create with SharePoint agents. I know that there's a couple different ways that you can, or a couple different aspects you can do with SharePoint agents, one from the content creator and the content owner perspective, and another one just for yourself and your team. So there's a lot of different ideas that I'm looking forward to see people create.
Sounds awesome. Let's move then to Kripal.
Awesome. Hey, everyone. My name's Kripal Kavi. I am the group product manager for a lot of the things that, if I'm looking at the chat, that all you all care about. SharePoint portals, pages, Amplify, news. So all of the cool things that you can do, like flex layouts, editorial cards, the hero carousel, etc., and everything else that you can do on a SharePoint page now. My awesome team kind of helps ship that. So it's great to be here, and nice to meet all of you.
Awesome.
Excellent. Yeah, Mark.
I was just going to say, are you part excited, part nervous to see, what people create? I think the nervous is a good nervous energy. How would you describe sort of walking into the hackathon? I don't think it's your first event. I don't think it's your first hackathon, but if it is, would love to just to hear your one or two sentences of walking into this hackathon and I feel fill in the blank. Kripal?
Excited.
Excited. CJ.
That's a good one. I'm got a lot of anticipation. I can't wait to see the ideas come through, especially because I've been thinking about SharePoint agents for quite a while and how agents in general can help. So I guess it's just, let's get going. Yeah.
And true or false, every agent question that gets submitted comes to you and you're the one who's answering questions, right?
Yeah.
For the worldwide.
We're definitely seeing all of them. Well, yeah.
All right. So lots of
connect to, that's for sure.
That's right.
Lots of agent behind questions.
The agent. She's the super agent.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Ed, what's your one word or phrase walking into the hackathon?
You know what? I'm going to go peanut butter and chocolate. I think if you look at SharePoint, there are points in time where all the pieces come together, where they assemble into something magical, and we're kind of at one of those points right now. And I'm excited to see what's the next Reese's Pieces. And nice. Yeah, I want a sugary breakfast too. But peanut butter and chocolate, that's what I'm going with.
I love it. If you string them all together, we have an excited agent eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
That's really good. Now, coming back on what Ed is saying, I think one of the key, let's say, objectives also for us for doing the hackathon is actually also educate our product group in the Redmond, because quite often actually what happens, and we know this, CJ, Ed, and Kripal knows this really well, when you go to the conferences, when you see partners building stuff on and their offerings on top of SharePoint, quite often the product group managers come back and say, have you seen what they built? It's amazing. I had no idea. I created this. I had no idea that they could actually do this. And that's part of this the objective of really showcasing what we can do with all of these products and innovation, what we can do together. So it's not just about Microsoft telling and showing that this is the limits. No, it's us together with community creating the innovation and sparking those ideas as a community on what we can do together. Cool. I think we wanted to go a quick category by category, kind of a walk through individual features and a key kind of, well, not features, but introduction on the category. So if people are not familiar with Viva Connections, SharePoint Framework, or SharePoint or agents, so what are the latest on kind of getting started there? And then we have those individual live streams coming up on starting on Wednesday, Thursday, and then Monday and Wednesday next week. We will come on agendas a bit later today. But right now, I think let's go and focus on its sections. It is going to cover two sections of today, which is Viva Connection and SharePoint Framework. So let's jump on Viva Connection. And Ed, can you do a quick intro on what is actually Viva Connection? What is it intended to be used? How does it position with SharePoint before we go to the SharePoint side?
Absolutely. So Viva Connections, I'd say it started as this code name what we call the company app. Like, it is designed to be the thing that is your connection as an employee back to your company. What are the tools and apps you need that connect you in? Like, what is the company branded view? Like, how do you actually get on the go? You know, whether you have one of these or whether you have one of these, like, how do you connect back in your company? Check your pay stub, file time off, catch up on the news that's important to you, wayfind. But it's all about my view back to the company that I work for.
And now on that positioning, if you think about again, SharePoint versus Viva Connection, do you have a kind of a storytelling on how does that work out? When do you use Viva Connection? When do you use SharePoint?
It is not versus. It is SharePoint and Connections. Like, absolutely. And you look at this, a way we talk about it is like, gosh, the top of the intranet is so important. There's a reason why part of this contest is like, build your best page and top of the intranet. That is your picture perfect storytelling. That is the best re-recruitment of like, why do you work at this company? Why is it great? This is run by Corp Comms. It tells you the whole story. It is beautiful, but it is CEO and C-suite down. And then Connections is the other side of that, of like, hey, your company cares about you. Like, actually, what is personal to me? What do I want to read about? Microsoft's a big company. Some of the news I care most about is what Vesa, Mark, CJ, and Kripal write about. Like, that's really what I want to read about. I want to see the apps that help me do employee performance reviews, give feedback, give praise, check my pay stub. So these are really meant to be, I mean, you know, chocolate and peanut butter, again, like, these two things are connected, but they are meant to actually complement each other. They are not separate offerings. And you'll see that as part of the dev platform. You'll see that as part of the capability. And like, one is more app-based and one is more web-based, and intentionally by design.
I'm now envisioning that SharePoint's walking along, and here comes Teams, and SharePoint's chewing on some chocolate, and Teams is munching on some chocolate, and then they just come together and they have this beautiful peanut butter and chocolate connection. So.
I like it. I think you're right, Mark. I think that can play.
The thing that I've always loved about Connections, especially, I'm purely an employee when it comes to consumption of what we do with Connections here at Microsoft, down to the phone. One thing I've just read about that I think is on the roadmap, if not maybe shipping this month, Ed, that I think grounds it even more, that it's a really personal experience, is this concept of the new Viva Connections dashboard personal card. Is there anything you can share just as a feature, just to exemplify that it really is intended for you to design the experience that you want to have, even if somebody else is crafting a lot of it as well?
Absolutely. Like, your personal company app, somebody needs to like start with it and lay out of like, I think you want these things. And the first set of features we released in this is, you know, hey, you can turn these things off because you don't use them. And it's like hide, rearrange. But then we went into like, actually, like, let me add a few things that are important to me, especially around like, hey, like, I work on SharePoint now. There's things I care about. So I can now add my own cards. I'll eventually be able to build my own cards. I'll eventually be able to bring in my own agents. So it's really like, it starts with the company's view of what I want, and then it evolves as I use things to like my view of what I want. It is very much a personalized space reflected towards the company.
That's nice. I like the ability too that you can switch from the dashboard where you might start your day or turn to do a certain activity because you know it's there or you put it there. But then you can also flip to the primary portal where you might do that top-down news consumption. What events are coming up? What do I need to pay attention to with the latest launch or campaign? So it's a really nice blend, and I think you as a team have over the years crafted the user interface of how you get in and out of the dashboard, how they complement each other.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you a perfect example. Apparently, last week, Microsoft, we invented a new type of matter. That doesn't happen very often. And I did not know a lot about that. And I was like sipping my coffee, being like, oh, we introduced this new quantum computing chip. And it's like, I flipped right to the feed and I got to read Satya's view of it. I got to read the R&D view of it. And it's like, not a thing I typically do, but like, man, that was everywhere. And it's like, now I know like one micro quantum about quantum computing, but it was like, that was really cool to be able to have that news view.
On that particular topic, now one of the new things which we just announced last week was the news reader, which you mentioned the feed, but then the news reader is actually replacing the feed within the Viva connection. And we did roll out videos with DC Padur on that one last week as well. Can you talk about this transition to the news, and what is the news reader within the Viva connection? What is it intended to do?
Yeah, I mean, SharePoint is the largest content management store in the world. Its source of news and knowledge is honestly kind of second to none. And we wanted to, like, we started listening to customers about what they wanted to be reading and accessing. And almost everybody, like, especially when you get, again, to like one of these or one of these, it's like, hey, like, I just want a way to, like, news is a thing. Give me a way to reason about it that's ranked to me where I can follow sites, I can follow people, and like make it a great experience. And by the way, there's no way I can read all this. Like, please let AI help me to summarize the right things, to catch me up. And like, that's where we're kind of doubling down on this notion of kind of departmental and enterprise news and giving it a great home, especially on multiple form factors.
And we're going to talk about much more about the Viva connection and beautiful designs and features and capabilities. I think that's scheduled for a week from now on Monday. So exactly the same time, same channel, same, well, not same people, actually. We have other feature PMs doing the functionalities, but we're going to go a bit more detailed on example designs and also what is the newsreader in live with live demos as well. Now, the second thing, what as a category, you Ed, are also the owning of the platform. And can you talk a bit about the SharePoint Framework and what is that all about for those who don't necessarily know what is SharePoint Framework?
Yeah, I mean, SharePoint Framework is really designed to actually be the most friendly development framework within a tenant. So it does lots of things. I'd say when we look at development, you will have SaaS offerings, you will have things that are homegrown, but there's this kind of magical in between where, hey, I need to write some code. Please, Microsoft handle single sign-on for me. I need a place to host it. Like, it is primarily webby, and like, gosh, can you use the latest open source tools? I'm doing the web dev stack and like a web dev stack. And this is where, like, hey, like, if you look at Microsoft's transition, especially over the last 10 years, everything kind of has this web front end. So you want to something work great in SharePoint. You want it to work great in Connections. You want it to work in Teams. You want it to work in Outlook. You've seen us make these moves. And this is this place where actually a customer can own their code, can host their code. And if you're really focused on the front end experience, this is your simplest solution. And it's like, if you want to go actually build from SQL Azure up, great, we're in full support of that. But if you want to get running quickly and use a lot of the M365 backbone, the SharePoint Framework's for you. Yeah.
Now SharePoint Framework has been fundamentally incredible success because it's being used by tens of millions of monthly active users. The customizations, of course, first party is using that, as in the SharePoint experience is built with SharePoint Framework. Can you talk a bit about the journey? Because we did start with SharePoint, but then it all started expanding and expanding and expanding. What about the future? We are deprecating SharePoint add-ins. Is that impacting SharePoint Framework? What's happening here?
Yeah, you know, I would say, like, as for Mark and Vesa, who've been around in SharePoint a little longer than me, there used to be where like SharePoint was the internet. It was everything. We can go MOS, we can go WSS. And I'd say this journey, like, you know, when you look at the start of the SharePoint framework, it was rebooting of like website building. And so it started there. But kind of like I mentioned, it's like we've really grown web tech across every major app solution that we have in M365. And I'd say like SharePoint add-ins was a bit of a like, let's call it a V1, V0 of a way to actually integrate into kind of a legacy older way of doing SharePoint. SPFX, we think, is a full replacement for that. That doesn't mean the platform's going away. It actually, like, we're trying to simplify your options. And, you know, like after a while of having platforms around, they either need to be evolving or moving to something different. And add-ins, we think we're at the point where it's ready to like go full on SPFX. And we think we're there.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. And let's be super clear, SharePoint add-in deprecation, nothing to do with SPFX replacement. SPFX is the replacement for SharePoint add-ins. So super clear on that one, because I think we're still getting questions on it. So
could I ask you both in a little bit of a summary review specific to the SharePoint Hackathon? How would you, from a, if you are a pro dev and you're taking on doing some form of SharePoint framework deliverable or example or showcase, what are the kind of things that you could do in 2 weeks, or maybe how you would go about just framing what I can accomplish with SPFX in 2 weeks in the context of the hackathon?
I would definitely start thinking on, okay, custom navigations, global navigations, what are the web part experiences? Can we surface, for example, again, AI integrations, potentially the Copilot, or maybe potentially an external system, custom engine agents surfacing in some of the portal sections and telling a story on that one. Those would be really good examples of the thing. And of course, there's a lot of different business scenarios and capabilities what just web parts can do. You can build an additional custom web part, which is then exposing something for end users to get them unblocked. And those are the kind of stories which really want to focus on the hackathon as well. So, in the context of SharePoint portals, you introduce an SPFX extension to decorate or expand the art of possible, and what kind of things people are building. That's always interesting.
Yeah, and I would plus to that. I would also really look at building custom cards. One of the things I keep using food analogies, but I love donuts. We just released donut graph capability for cards over the summer.
Yes.
But one of the things also is like cards now will actually show up in SP agents. We're rolling that out now. You're going to see cards be more and more ubiquitous across all of SharePoint. So look how you can push the limits of design with both that kind of front end card and the quick views and the functionality you can accomplish there.
Yep, that's a really good
and
point,
I am hungry.
for sure. If we look on the Viva Connection dashboard, those chart cards, you can do those with SPFX. And like Ed was saying, we publicly have said this already. These cards are coming to a card web part pretty soon, so that you can actually start using the cards directly natively within any SharePoint site, not just the welcome page or welcome. What is it? Start portal page, welcome home site. Home site. I think that's the right term.
Yeah,
so,
home. SharePoint start. And
yes.
Home.
Cool. I think that's enough for the Viva Connection and SPFX, because we only have a 1 hour. Again, for Viva Connection next Monday, 9 a.m. Pacific time. For SPFX, week from now, from Wednesday, we do have a specific 9 a.m. Session where we have Luca and Ashu and many others engineering coming up and talking about the latest on SharePoint Framework. Now,
yes,
then
so
let's actually. Oh, sorry, Mark.
I was just going to say, Ed, thank you for sharing your insights today. We hope that you'll see a ton of things that the world is doing. So off with Ed, and now we'll transition to CJ. Thanks, Ed.
Yes. And let's get CJ here. So CJ, let's talk a bit about the SharePoint agents. Can you do a quick intro? What is a SharePoint agent for those who don't know what it is and what it's capable of
SharePoint
doing?
agent is actually really basic. It's the idea that because you know what your content is and why you want to be using it and how you want to use it, how you want to share it, you could benefit from having an agent built for it, customized to do that. The starting set of capabilities is really around interrogating and asking questions about the content. But you can see that this can actually grow into a lot of different scenarios. So all you need is your content that you're most familiar with, and then this idea of how you can have an agent help you in your day-to-day, or even with your team, or especially in the frame of SharePoint, how you're going to get that information out in a much easier way for people to consume and your audience. So we're really looking at having content owners create agents, as well as just any individual. Like, that was really the premise of SharePoint agents, is that everybody should be able to create their own agent and have something that helps them every day.
Now, I'm going to put you on a spot on there. This is not scripted or anything. Everybody should be actually capable of doing agents. We do get a bit of feedback on that one. So, so the controlling and all of that stuff. Personally, I feel that everybody should be able to create an agent against the document, because that's kind of the idea. So I can have a discussion with my documents and all of that. Can you elaborate a bit on that thinking behind of these agents and why everybody is capable of doing this?
Yeah, so I guess the premise is that, you know, as somebody, as an organization that's already using Copilot, you've already got this ability where you can talk to your content, your documents. And what we've done with SharePoint agents is really said that if we focus this agent on that content, on the stuff that you really want to, you can actually get a better response on the things that are coming back. So it's much more focused. And then we give you this ability to customize exactly what instructions you want. So then you can start to be more prescriptive about how you want that agent to behave. Like, is it somebody that's helping me onboard, for example? Or is it something that's helping people on my team get familiar with a set of documents or set of things that we've just created? Like, I'll give you an example. Like, recently on our product team, we've been doing more brainstorming about how to basically incorporate SharePoint agents much better into the interface of SharePoint sites and for teams and pages and things to use. And I tried to participate in a lot of the brainstorming, but a lot of times I wasn't able to attend some of those sessions. But I know that the team was putting together documents, they were putting together PowerPoint slides of their ideas. And so we actually introduced an agent within our meeting chat. And this way I could actually go back and catch up on a lot of the ideas that people had, figure out what were the best ideas, because it was incorporating all of the things that people had written out into that. So that's just like an example where I needed something for the team, or the team needed something that really we should be self-empowered to go and create, rather than having like specific permissions. And because we were creating this content in a space where we already had read and edit permissions, those were already governed by the SharePoint permissions, right? So we didn't need to go and give special permissions just because you wanted to interact with that content using the agent, or using those agent capabilities. That's sort of like the I think the core of it is just being able to really self-serve and get that benefit for that, and not have any blockers in the way. Because ultimately the admin has already done the thinking about who should have access to that information and how they should access that, which is reading, which is really the core of what the SharePoint agent is doing. It's doing that question and answer for you, not actually doing anything that is accessing like third-party things or making actions in a way that could be dangerous.
It's just an alternative way of accessing the information in the document anyway, so which you have access. So you can be more efficient as a person, start asking questions from the agent against the document information, which is a good way of putting that. So just already have access. It's just a more efficient way of doing things. Now, can we talk a bit about the business scenarios in here? What would be the typical ways of using agents?
So these are actually examples that we gathered when we've been running a private preview program, and we've been working with customers to figure out the best ways that they can use. Because a lot of times when you come up with a concept, it's a little bit tricky to figure out, like, how could I use this best? So a few of these scenarios, you should look at this as the SharePoint site owners wanting their audience to interact with the information on that site in a new way, as well as the angle of an individual. So if we look at, for example, this customer service example, what we found with having a lot of a lot of times SharePoint sites will have information about products or specifications that are really helpful to customer service agents. What this allows them to do is actually have an agent that is focused on an area of the customer service, and then the customer service agents can be asking questions of that collateral in a much more precise way, and in a much more way that of the information that they need, so that they can get the answer they need to get responses back. So it's really giving them an easier access to that information. Things like sales and finance, what we found there is that it really helps in learning from what other people have done. So in the case of sales, what were the previous proposals that were made in the same situation? Having an agent that's really focused on that to help you build new sales proposals has been one scenario that we've seen a lot of value come from that as well. And we think about marketing and HR. There's a lot of things around learning and getting to specific examples that you want to help you build new collateral or provide updates or get information from. So if we think about marketing, working with an engineering team where the engineering team is coming up with new product ideas, this is one way that the marketing team can actually get access to that information in a way that helps them make decisions about how they want to market a particular product. And what we found here as well is that, especially for teams that work in different time zones, a lot of times you can use that agent to fill in the gaps when you don't have the person online. So if you're working in Europe and your counterpart is in North America, there's this notion of being able to get the information you need without necessarily having to wait for the person to be online again during your time zone. And so there's legal and IT. So it's really around looking at the existing content as well and helping you understand that in a way that's much faster than you would if you were to read each of those directly. Of course, when you get that response back, you can go and dig a lot deeper. I did want to call it as well. It is actually helping generate or help you with the creation of things as well. So you can have a look at what's been working previously. Ask for suggestions on what could be another way to do that, and then take that, copy that response that you get back, and start a new document from there as well. So there's a lot of basically helping you learn from what's previously happened, so that you don't have to spend a lot of time redoing the things that people have already done.
Yep. CJ, one of the things I remember from the SharePoint Agents AMA, one question was kind of more, how many agents can I create per site? Not so much to answer that, but I think in the context of the hackathon, the awareness that you can create more than one agent. Can you put that through the lens of maybe how people could think about crafting agents, multiple agents for their hackathon?
Yeah, so a lot of times, especially if you think about a site, if I think about our product site, we'll have different areas for different, or maybe different folders for different projects or different aspects of it. So you can have an agent in in any place that you can have access to the files. So for example, if I had a project folder that I was really wanting to deep dive on, I could create an agent on that folder and save that agent alongside all of those project files. And then that way you've kind of got the context of the agent and its information as well. And if you think about it, it's really a file. So in the same way that we allow you to create files in your SharePoint site, you can create agents anywhere in that SharePoint site. Of course, it's governed by the permissions that you have on the document library, as well as the, perhaps even the folder itself. So that's, I think, one way to think about these, how these agents can really be used and kept with the knowledge that you're building that agent on as well.
And on agents, we're going to talk about more details about the agents and capabilities and opportunities, scenarios, all of that I think on Thursday this week.
Yes,
if I remember, my brain is working properly. But I did want to quickly show just kind of a landscape of all of the agents and the reason why this one was created. Just to kind of reminder for everybody, we do have multiple ways of doing agents. In this hackathon, we're going to focus on SharePoint agents and the scenarios on that. But the beauty of all of this is that it's all based on the same technology. So SharePoint agents are actually declarative agents, which are then technically the same implementation style as what you're doing with agent builders and Copilot Studio or with Teams Toolkit. So the technology is identical. It's just how do we create them is a bit different.
Vesa, I think the only thing that needs to be updated on this slide here is you just need a little emoji of peanut butter and chocolate and put it somewhere,
It's true.
just so that
It's
Ed,
true.
we can make Ed happy.
Yes. And then a final quick call out. We do have a special SharePoint agent trial promotion ongoing. Do you want to talk about this one, CJ, really quickly? And then we move into Cripple.
Yeah. So between the promotion actually started in January, but until the end of June, we are giving 10,000 free SharePoint agent messages to a tenant that has 50 or more Copilot licenses. And what this allows you to do is actually see where people are using SharePoint agents, where you might actually get the best value, even with not having a licensed user. So now somebody can go in and try it and learn more about it and actually figure out what scenarios these work for you, and then get that feedback back to your administrators and decision makers.
Cool. And we'll talk about all of this in Thursday this week. So definitely cool. Thank you, CJ, on this one. Then let's jump on Cripple and talk a bit about the SharePoint portals. One of the key pointers of this whole hackathon. There's so much to talk about today, but we do have a special portal session coming up on Wednesday as well. But Cripple, can we talk about the SharePoint portal? What does it mean for you as the chief owner of SharePoint portal experiences?
Yeah, no,
putting you on a spot.
No, for sure. No, that's fine. It's a great spot to be. I would just like keeping an eye on the YouTube comments, and there was one comment, I forget who kind of posted it, said that all roads lead to SharePoint, right? Like this is like
I saw that as well.
Yeah, the first platform, and that's exactly what it means to us. I think SharePoint has always been a creators and a makers tool, right from when it was launched in the on-prem days. No dinosaur stories today, but I think that's what it really means to us, right? As we think about builders and empowering builders, so helping them build the best looking and performing and engaging internet out there is our mission. And with a lot of the stuff that we've kind of brought to market right now, I think, especially in the last 6, 12, 18 months, we feel really good about the value we've put out there. And especially with this hackathon, I am super excited to see what the community builds.
Yes.
And so just as I think about, like you brought the slide up, and I promise this is my one and only PowerPointy slide. The others talk about the product. But like on this one, just to share with the community a little bit around how we're thinking about our investments. The first is about compelling content. And like I said, the mission is to empower our creators to build the best looking internet sites out there, kind of period. And we've been bringing a ton of concepts to market that you've been asking us for a really long time. Rich media support, image controls, filters, typography improvement, and of course, flex layouts, which everyone seems to love, which is a crowd pleaser. So again, like we feel really happy about putting value out there that helps you build better looking content. The second piece is a little bit about simpler authoring. The community is awesome. They've given us a lot of feedback, but the one piece of feedback we haven't gotten is SharePoint is simple. And a lot of what we're doing is to not just help you build beautiful pages, but to also make them in the easiest way possible, right? Like with and without Copilot. And then the last piece is about engagement, where when our creators build, it's not just for the content as an end in of itself, right? Like the building content to drive engagement. And I think that is really important to us. So how can we help you get the content to the people that you care about, to bring the content to the audience versus make the audience go to the content? And that's a little bit around the third pillar of investments. So overall, like I think we feel really good about how in each one of these categories, some of the things that we're bringing to bear and sharing with the community. And I can't wait to see what they build with it.
Absolutely. And we do have a great set of examples available for everybody to take advantage. We do have the lookbook service in adaption.microsoft.com. That's a great service of having a look on some of the examples what we have. The Zephyr design was a new one, right, for the January event, which was a brilliant event led by Jeff Deeper in 27th of January. And people should be checking out those videos for sure to kind of see also the art of possible within SharePoint portals. Any kind of you already, Kripal, said that obviously the flexible layout is the crowd pleaser. Can you talk a bit about that, the flexible layout, and what's the magical thing with this one?
Yeah, no, for sure. Happy to talk about it. It's one of my personal favorites, quite honestly. It's been the biggest ask, I think, from the community for a long, long time. And what they've said is, hey, please don't, I love SharePoint. Please don't restrict me to the 1, 2, 3 column layout. Give me the room across the entire canvas so I can build as I want to. And we have that now. And when we did our event in Jan, the one that you just linked to, Vesa, we promised you that you'll be able to play with this for the hackathon. And I think we're delivering on that promise today. The feature is in targeted release now. I saw some comments earlier on, people saying, hey, I didn't quite see it in my tenant. And then I saw Laura posting saying, hey, I can see it in my tenant now. And somebody else posted right after that saying, hey, I didn't see it a week ago, but I see it now. And I wish we knew exactly once we rolled out a feature, which tenant gets it when, but then there's a whole set of permutations and combinations in the background around which data center your tenant is located in, how it's sharded for redundancy, etc. So we haven't figured out that part yet to make sure, like, to know exactly which tenant will get which feature when. But this is in TR now. So if you all opt into TR, you should be able to go out and play with it. So I'm super excited. Please go out and play with it. Can't wait to see what you build.
I think one of the nice things just to know about the flexible layouts is you see the grid when you're working with it, where you can move things, overlay things, you can resize things, and you're not limited to what has been for a while a 3-column layout. You have so many places, but also remember there are section templates that build or you can use within flexible sections so that you can see what's possible. You can even use it as a template to get started. You can resize things height-wise. There's so many things that you can do that really drive SharePoint into this era of AI, but it's really the era of choice. You have the choice and the ability to make things look like you look. So to you and Team Kripal, congratulations on shipping this, and I know refining it and learning from it, but it's not a surprise that people are responding to it in this way because it kind of gives them more of what they've been asking for.
Yeah, and no, that's exactly right, Mark. And it took us, this was a big dig for us. But a couple of quick things that I really want to hit on. So one, I think Sarah just posted a comment in chat saying that, hey, it's not mobile responsive. We're working on that. We're working on mobile reflow. Feedback is loud and clear. That's why this feature is in TR today and not in GA, because we want to make sure when it gets to GA, this works. This is super responsive and works well across all platforms. And the second thing that I'll say is, this is a question we've gotten before, but it didn't quite come up today, which is, do Flex sections support third-party web parts? And the answer is yes, it does.
Yes.
You can resize them, you can play around with them, just like you can do with first-party web parts. So have fun.
And on that particular thing, anybody who's super technical, we did release SharePoint Framework 1.21 today to preview version, and that gives you the default settings for flexible layout. So you're able to align the size and height of a custom web part also based on your preference as you drag and drop that to the flexible layout. So that's something which came out today, right on time for the hackathon. So technically it came out last week, but there was, anyway, let's not go to technical details. Anyway, so these things do happen. So some of the new features also, I just wanted to show this before we start wrapping up, is also the new hero layouts and editorial card web parts. We did have a videos and storytelling on this pretty recently out as well, but this does give a lot of graphical flexibility as well.
Yeah, totally. And this is, again, how can we help you breathe new life into a SharePoint page, right? And I think these are two great features that bring really SharePoint into the century in some sense. The first one is the hero layout or the hero carousel. Like the traditional hero web object or the web part was more tiled. You could choose between 3 and 5 tiles. It was, it didn't look ugly, but it was kind of basic and plain vanilla. So with the carousel, though, we think it really makes the top of your internet, or the top of your page, that much more engaging and really draws the attention of the user. It's super flexible. You can add up to 5 slides. You can toggle whether or not you want this to auto rotate. You can pick images, regular text. You can add call to actions. And you have a whole host of advanced image controls for the images that you add onto it. So I think it just makes your internet page come alive, or at least the top of your page come alive, right? And the second piece is, maybe you don't want something as bold as a hero layout, but you still want to bring a little bit of spice and action to a certain part of your page. And that's where we think, we love the editorial card really adds or solves for that. And you can add that anywhere on the page with a few quick clicks, you can have it focus between images or text. You can add call to actions. You can completely customize the call to actions, whether you want it to be a button, whether you want it to be an icon, whether you want it to be just text, or even the whole card itself. And you can play around with a whole list of advanced controls, like adjusting the opacity levels and things like that. So, I mean, we've given you all the dials we possibly can, while also trying to make it easy. And I think like this is another second cool, a really cool way to make your SharePoint page look awesome.
Yep, absolutely. A lot of flexibility, and flexible layouts gives that options. Again, you can overlap things. There's so much cool stuff. So much cool stuff. Now, we need to start wrapping up. We do have a special category-specific sessions coming up as well. So that's all coming in a second. Quick recap on what are we looking into people submitting. First of all, we're looking at videos, which can be 1 to 8 minutes. This is hard. English is so hard. But you need to have that video somewhere, so we're able to access that. And we're able to access that. It could be YouTube, which you link. It doesn't have to be listed in YouTube. It could unlisted in YouTube, as long as we can be able to access that and review that. We do have some special recognition things as well. So most creative video presentation and best video presenter voice. Looking into if there's any good voices out there, which we want to then go all out in our celebration of these demos as well. So those are kind of special categories on top of the 4 different winning categories. But as a quick call out before we get presenters back and say thank you for them, please register. That's mainly for you to get the reminders on the upcoming live streams. So AKMS SharePoint Hackathon register, create some cool stuff, create a video and submit. That's the objectives. The deadline is for 17th of March. So that's Monday, 2 weeks from now. So we didn't want to close on Friday. We did want to close on Monday. So we'll give you some flexibility on submission. And we do have live streams coming up on March 5th, 6th, 10th, 12th, and 26th of March. We do have a special celebration on all of the things what has been submitted. But I guess that sums up the storytelling today. Can we get Kripal and CJ quickly back here as well? And then say thank you CJ, thank you Kripal, thank you Ed, who unfortunately needed to jump. But really, really cool to have you on the show today.
Yeah, no, awesome. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Vesta. This was great. And huge thanks to the community. And I think ultimately we build for you all, builders. So we'd love to see what you build with this in the upcoming hackathon. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Vesta and team are putting up the deeper dive sessions, and I know they'll be great.
Yes, looking forward to all the submissions, and keep those questions coming and the feedback too.
Yeah, make sure that, if you are thinking about something or wanting to do it or scratching your head, should I? The answer is yes. There is no bad submission. There's just wonderful submissions. And it's really for you to learn what's possible and then showcase it. And you shouldn't second guess anything that you're working on. Work on it, learn, publish, ask a couple of people a few questions, and use the webinars as a place to get a little inspiration. And they will also be checkpoints throughout, because we're doing them throughout the hackathon. So we can tell you from what we see and what we're hearing, here's the things we're hearing people are having questions on, or here are things that people are doing. Think about that. So use them as a great checkpoint to be able to learn and have a team and a partner to work with throughout the hackathon.
Absolutely. And if you go to the hackathon page, the AKMS SharePoint Hackathon, you will actually get a link to also the GitHub forums and discussion forums. You're able to ask questions if you have technical challenges. We will get the feature PMs to answer those questions as well. So feel free to take advantage of that discussion throughout the upcoming 2 weeks. If you have any technical issues, any other questions, we are here to help to get you unplugged. But I guess that's it. Thank you, Kripal. Thank you, CJ. Thank you, Mark. This was wonderful.
Lisa. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Vesta. Thank you, CJ and Kripal. And we'll say a thank you to Ed, who had to boogie. But especially thank you to you out there for tuning in today. If you were inspired to join the hackathon, do it. If you were inspired to join the hackathon and invite somebody that you know to the hackathon, whether it's just so they can learn about SharePoint, so you don't always have to be the person they ask. We're starting to answer a lot of questions, new materials, and a lot of visuals to help support the what's possible. So use this time to really learn, share, grow your community, grow your connections, and grow your capabilities with SharePoint.
And we are really hoping that everybody is able to come to the Microsoft 365 Community Conference in Vegas as well in early May. On top of the people who are potentially winning that ticket from the categories as well. But that's going to be awesome. And we're going to have even new stuff available in that conference in early May. But see you there. And let's enjoy the hackathon within upcoming weeks. Thanks, everybody.
Enjoy. Thank you.
Please welcome Jeff Tieper.
Oh, hello. Have you seen this? It's the SharePoint Hackathon happening in March 2025. Come on, check it out.
Welcome to the March 2025 SharePoint Hackathon.
Have you heard about the SharePoint Hackathon? Well, it's happening March 3rd through 17th. No matter if you're an end user, designer, architect, or developer, there's going to be a place for you in one of the 4 categories.
Hi, this is Mark Anderson. I hope you can join the SharePoint Hackathon this March.
See you at the SharePoint Hackathon in March 2025.
I'm Emily Mancini, and I'll be joining the SharePoint Hackathon. Will I see you there?
Hey, I'm Eric Overfield, and I'm looking forward to seeing you at the SharePoint Hackathon this March.
Coming up in March, whether you're a business user, designer, architect, or developer, there's a place for you in this hackathon.
Hey there. I will be at the SharePoint Hackathon. Will you join us too? See you soon.